Well, I'm off to do a sit down with Carey Price, and pretty excited. Never met the man before, but he seems like a very humble, nice individual, and I'm excited to have a chat. And I'm in Kelowna, British Columbia, and heading up there now. So here we go. What's up, bud?
You're looking at it. Yeah.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, you bet.
I was excited to get to meet you. Actually, today was our first time that we met.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Yeah, it is.
And I obviously, with you being a goalie, I was wondering what it was with certain goalies. Did I ever tell you the story? I don't think I did, about the first time I got in a fight.
Nope.
No. So I was in. I've told this story before, but it was my first experience. I was 15 years old, and I was trying out for the Portland Winterhawks. And I had white gloves on back then. Okay? And every time I skated by the bench, there was a backup goalie, and he literally was as big as you. And he's like, Myhres, you effing pussy, whatever. And I'd sort of look at him. Didn't really think anything of it, right?
Yeah.
Never been in a fight. And so I go score another goal. And he goes, you effing hot dog, or whatever, right? Yeah. So anyways, for some reason, I just turned around and I said, why do you got such a, an attitude with me? And he goes like this, you want to go? And at the time, I didn't know what that meant. And I go, yeah, I do. So anyways, he takes his glove and his blocker off and leaves it on the bench. Scrimmage is over, and I skate out to center ice with this goalie, okay, with the pads on. And I square up this way, so I'm a left-hander at this point, right? Yeah. Anyways, we fight, we're going. And some blood's coming off of his face or whatever. And I'm like, wow, that was cool. So I go to skate off the ice, and his brother, that I didn't know, I thought it was a fan, came up and punches me right in the face. I go down, and it was just chaos. My dad and his dad in the stands were going at it. And that was my first experience with the Western Hockey League.
Well, with us goalies, we always got backup.
Well, it was, so there was that story with the goalie for the first fight. And then remember that girl goalie Minorium?
Yep.
Yeah, in Tampa. So I get there, and I'm drinking and boozing and partying all summer. I was 18 years old.
Yep.
And she was the talk of the city. And I get to camp, and we have fitness testing. Mm-hmm. And back then, I don't know if they still do it, you do the VO2 bike.
Yeah, everybody's favorite time of year, yeah.
You still do it? With the nose plug and everything?
We didn't do the nose plug, but we had a treadmill test and a bike test and a wind gate. So
okay, so they're still doing the test 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyways, I get up there, and I'm, all cocky, whatever, and I get on the VO2, and they put the headset on in the nose and all this stuff, and I'm grinding it out. And next day, I got a note, and it's from Phil Esposito, and he goes, can you come see me? I said, yeah, sure. So I go in, and I'm like, what's up, Phil? He goes, Brantt, we got the tests back. I go, oh, yeah, how'd I do? He goes, the girl, Manon, her VO2 was higher than yours. And I said, quite honestly, Phil, I go, you pay me to fight here. You're not paying me to ride the bike. And what we talked about before about riding the bike. But,
oh, yeah, that's always tough.
Yeah. So how are you liking it in this area? Because you said you moved here 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, so we've been here for about 10 years or so. Me being from up north, Williams Lake.
Yeah.
It's about 6 hours from here. Mm-hmm. And then my wife is from Kennewick, Washington, Tri-Cities.
Yeah.
Where I played junior hockey. So this is kind of neutral territory. Mm-hmm. And then, as you know, there's a lot of NHL guys around here. So
Oh yeah, there's quite. But you grew up, so you were 5 hours from here, correct?
Yeah, Williams Lake's
Williams Lake.
Williams Lake's about 5.5, 6 hours from here. And then where I grew up is another 3.5 hours west of there.
Oh, Anaheim.
Anaheim Lake, yeah.
Anaheim Lake.
Yeah.
Okay, and what's the pop there?
It's a couple horses and a few cows.
Seriously? It's not a lot of people?
It's pretty small out there, yeah. We have, I think when I was growing up, it must have been it's probably about 5,000 people when it was booming.
Oh, bro, I grew up in Grand Center, 5,000 people.
Yeah, it's probably fewer now. You
Yeah.
know, like the lumber industry kind of took a nosedive a bit. Like we had like working mills out there at the time.
Gotcha.
You know, the industry was booming a little bit better, but yeah, Williams Lake's about 5 hours from here. And then we moved here because in August we could basically run like an NHL training camp for the whole month of August.
Well, with all the guys here.
With all the guys
Yeah.
here. Like we'd actually have like guys come from out of town to just skate here because our skates were so good.
Oh, okay.
You know.
I skated here in the summer.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of it though.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah.
So how does that work then? If you're 3 hours, how are you minor hockey? How does that work for you then, as far as getting to the games and stuff?
Yeah,
And
Pops.
practice.
Yeah, Pops. Yeah, we just spent a lot of time in the
Jerry.
car. Yeah, Jerry,
yeah.
yeah. JP, he's a committed hockey dad. There's no doubt about that. You know, we even like playing like house league when I was like an Atom. Mm-hmm. You know, we'd drive 3.5 hours, go to practice. After practice, drive home. We'd go to work the next day. I'd go to school. Then we could drive back in for the weekends.
Yeah.
You know, play a couple games, then drive home. And then eventually I started playing like rep hockey. You know, then
So that's busy.
it's really busy because you get like 2 practices a week, usually like Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
And then we'd have a tournament, say in Prince George. So we drive through Williams Lake up to Prince George and back, which would be, 6.5 hour drive just to
Wow.
play for the weekend.
Did mom come on any of those?
Not a lot. Like mom was pretty busy with, taking care of my sister.
Yeah.
She also worked for the school board, so she kept my
Oh, okay.
she kept me in line when it came to going to school. So I was lucky that way. But yeah, me and Pops, we spent a lot of time in the car, and he actually had his pilot's license. So we started flying back and forth between Anaheim Lake and Williams Lake.
What do you mean? You were flying?
Yeah. We had like a little Piper Cherokee airplane.
No way.
It's basically like, kind of like a pack of gum with wings, basically.
Wow.
So that would cut, if we had a nice strong tailwind, it'd be like 45 minutes.
Wow.
No wind, an hour. Headwind to be an hour and 15.
Bro, what's that like pulling up on a plane though? Were the other guys like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Well,
it was cool, but
Yeah.
you and Dad were on the runway, me and my old man, me and Bob.
Yeah.
Remember my dad? I'll tell you a story. I was trying out for the midget team in Bonneville.
Yeah.
And my dad bought a van. It was a brown van, and it was $400, and it had orange carpet in it, like shag.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I tried for the midget team, and they go, "Good news, you made it. We're going on a trip this weekend to Saskatchewan." And my dad's like, "Oh, can we meet the bus? Because I don't think we got enough money for gas money, right?"
Yeah.
They're like, "Yeah, just meet us at this one place." So the story about my dad's van is and I knew this, if this thing got over 60 miles an hour, the howl that came from the engine and the smoke was going to be bad.
Yeah.
So anyways, I go, "Dad, we're late. Anyways, we turn the corner and we see the bus with all the boys on it, right? And it's taken off. And he looks at me and he goes, "Well, son, what do you think?" And I go, "Pin it." So the next thing you know, we're hitting 60 and then we hit 70 and it starts going, okay?
Oh,
but
yeah.
we have to get to the side of the bus to wave him over to pull over. And by this time, Price, the thing's blowing up. There's smoke coming out of the engine. I come on the bus, and it was the first time I met my teammates, and my dad's vehicle was blowing up. So cool that you got to fly.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty cool experience as a kid. We had some pretty rough rides.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did it ever? So when it came to flying, because me, ever since pro, like I had turbulence, so were you always okay with flying even at a young age?
At a young age, I was actually pretty good. My dad's a really good pilot, like safe.
Obviously, you're here. Yeah.
Yeah, we made it.
Yeah.
So he was pretty diligent about checking weather forecasts, and he was pretty. There's few instances where we, got hemmed up in some bad weather, but he was pretty cautious.
Yeah.
We also had like a lot of landings where you'd have a crosswind, and a little plane like that, you'd be coming in feeling like you're riding a butterfly,
especially in the winter, right?
Yeah. So we had some pretty rough rides. So when I got to pro and we're riding on nice big comfy planes,
it was just, that was nothing for you.
It was just like riding in a lazy boy,
and then you take off to Tri-Cities, and you live with the family for your whole entire time there, right?
I did, yeah. So I lived with Jill and Dennis Williams, who I keep in contact with today. Really nice family, kept me in line. So Dennis was military police.
Yeah.
And he made sure I followed the rules. I couldn't be a minute late for curfew type of thing.
Really?
Jill is a sweetheart. She really took care of all of us kids that came and stayed with her. And Dennis was the one that kind of got me hooked on walleye fishing.
Oh, he was the one that got you hooked on the fishing. Nice.
Yeah, so I still do go walleye fishing with Dennis, and really good fisherman.
Yeah.
And I still go down there and fish all the time to this day.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Does the wife fish?
She likes eating fish.
After you get it ready?
She's a fair weather fisherwoman.
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
She doesn't mind it, though. Like, she's... we've gone on a couple of camping trips just up the hill here. And, we pull the paddle boards out and we'll fish for trout off paddle boards.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So obviously, Pricer, I see what's behind us and stuff, and I think that that's cool. But the admiration I have for you and sort of, I guess, the being vocal on what you've, maybe not too vocal, we'll chat about it, but my story, unfortunately, I had to, get suspended from the NHL. I went to 5 rehabs, and then they gave me a lifetime ban in 2006. And my life, obviously wasn't I wasn't too proud of that. And we're in a month that is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I wanted to just dive in and chat with you a little bit about the state of your mental health, or, where did the drinking, like, I know for me personally, the drinking took off when I was in Lethbridge, and, I really didn't think anything of it. I just was out with the boys and having some drinks and sort of doing what everybody else was doing.
Yeah.
Right. But gradually, as it got along, I found myself sort of secluding myself now, and it just sort of progressed. Where in your journey, was it Tri-Cities? Was it early on in Montreal? Was it late? Like, where did you find where you were waking up in the morning going, fuck, man, like, I think I might have to address this at some point, and then waking up again going, I don't know if I can do it on my own. Yeah,
it's like, like you talk to anybody, it's kind of like the same progression, like it starts out like fun, you're just hanging out with everybody. And then eventually you get to a point where it's like, am I like actually like having fun?
Yeah. Yeah. So was this in junior that maybe that started, you think, or was it more later?
Like I felt like I was, I've always been kind of a good time Charlie, hanging out with the boys. Like, I've always really enjoyed that, but it wasn't until like later, I think especially like when kids, you start bringing in a different aspect into your life. Like kids, you have more responsibilities, and then it was like at a certain point I was like, hey, I need to make my family my priority and my own health my priority. So like when I finally went off to go seek help, it was like, that was the time where I was like, and I'd had moments before that where I was like, hey, I need to start dialing it back a little bit, you know?
And with me, I wasn't a very good player, but if I went out and beat the shit out of somebody, I did my job for the day.
Yeah.
But with you, with the alcohol, was it tough for you to go, okay, so, you know, I'm getting accolades, like I'm playing okay, but yet you still feel like something's wrong. Do you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like your play just took a skid and went south. You were actually playing really well. So there must have been something you saying, okay, so maybe it's not affecting my hockey, but it's affecting this. Is that correct in a way? Because it wasn't like you were getting cut from the team and getting sent to the minors. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, it's like, you know, I think it kind of like, especially kind of starts wearing on you because you're like, am I being a professional? You know, like, am I truly like giving it your all, you know? So like, you know, like that was one thing that surprised me too. Like we were talking about earlier, is like when I went in for treatment, you're like, man, there's like a lot of like really like functional people here, successful people. Yeah, you know, and it's like,
wasn't that good for you to see?
Yeah, 100%.
For me, it was. I had to, like, as we chatted about, you know, my idea coming from a small town in Alberta, I saw the alcoholics in my mind. And they were the guys walking down Main Street with the paper bag. Okay. Yeah. So when I get to LA and they're going, we're going to Malibu and we're going to an AA meeting. And I said, what's AA? And they're like, don't worry, get on the yellow bus. We're going, right? Yeah. So I get there and I walk in and there's 250 people and they're dressed nice.
Yeah.
They're pulling up in nice cars. And I'm sitting next to, I'm like, hey, so, you know, what do you do with yourself? And he says, oh, you know, I do surgery on people and I save their lives. And then the next guy would be, you know, wearing ratty clothes. So my point is that the disease of, you know, alcoholism or drug addiction, or however you want to, it doesn't discriminate on who it goes after, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter about the car or anything. But for me, it was nice to see that my perception of an alcoholic changed when I went to treatment. That's all.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of the same story we were saying earlier. It's like when I got to treatment, I was like, do I need to carry a Chev around with me? You know, like, but then I got in there and like.
Were you in Malibu?
No, I was actually here in BC.
Oh, okay. Okay. Nice. Yeah. I think I know. Yeah. A good spot. Yeah.
So I got in there. It's like, again, it was like highly functional people, polite people, really nice people. And like, you know, a lot of them I still talk to this day.
Yeah.
You know?
See, we got a friend in common, Danny Cronin.
Yeah.
Dan Cronin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dan saved my life a few times. Real good guy. Like when I wrote the book, I tried to really emphasize that, like, at the time when I was going through all this shit, I hated them.
Yeah.
You know, like they were piss testing me 3 days a week. I'd go to Maui to try to get away. I'd check into the hotel and the urine test would be waiting for me. You know, I'd be like, can you guys just give me a break?
Yeah.
They're like, we know you. We know you. We know what you're up to.
Yeah.
But looking back, I realized that what they have in place for, well, when I was playing anyways, is that they just wanted to help me.
Yeah.
You know, and Shaw, Cronin, and those guys were always awesome to me. Now, I had different moments of periods of time that I stayed there. How long did you end up staying?
I was there for 30 days.
Okay. So it's 30 days.
Yeah, 30 days. And, you know, you kind of, a lot of it, like the facility I was at, it's a lot of like kind of like self-reflectiveness, you know, like self-awareness, like, which is really good for me. Because at the time, you know, like we had just gone to the Cup finals.
So this is in 2021, right?
Yeah, we had just lost in the Cup finals. I had just gone through a surgery.
The knee
surgery, you know. So there was like of things like going on in my life that I think kind of pushed me over the edge as that summer went on.
So was it the any pain medication?
No, I was always pretty good with
the pills.
With the pills, like
Yeah.
I always knew that like I can't mess with that stuff. You know, like,
especially with the booze,
because they could kill you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I was always like a little bit reckless, but not that reckless. You know.
Yeah.
So you know, like I went through all that summer, and then it was that in that fall, it was just like, man,
Was the wife saying like, so was Angela?
Yeah.
Was she going, honey, like maybe you should give Cronin a call? Like, or was that more coming from like, were you able to talk to anybody and run stuff off of like, hey, I might have an issue here? Or was that just the call to the league and say, hey, I need to talk to somebody?
Yeah, with my agent. Yeah.
Oh, okay, Jerry.
Jerry.
Yeah,
So
Jerry.
I called
Great.
Jerry's an awesome friend. Like I've known him since I was 14 years old. You know, he's always had my back, and he's, you know, like he helped me through the whole process. The team was obviously really good about it. Berge as well.
Mark Bergevin was a GM.
Yeah.
And I know Berge, like when I played with him, he was an awesome teammate. So I'm sure he was a great guy to, you know, as we talked about, he's an emotional guy, wears his heart on his sleeve.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he was understanding, right?
Very understanding. Like we had a long conversation, an emotional one. Like,
Yeah.
You know, like what was said, obviously going to stay between us, but it was like very heartfelt, you know. So, but leading up to that, like there have been times in my life where Angela's like, you need to like, get control of yourself here, you know. So I don't know. I think always kind of felt like, you know, like hockey players were kind of like reckless by nature.
Yeah.
You know, and I think like,
and do you think because you're more of a, how can I put it, reserved individual, that did alcohol make you unreserved like it did for me in a way?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, like, you know, like I always kind of viewed myself as a bit of an introvert, you know, when it comes to like social activities and like that.
Well, you're in the net all by yourself too.
Yeah,
right?
You know,
Like shit.
So like I think that was part of it too. It made me more social, you know, like
like it does for everybody.
Yeah.
But at some point, you know, I knew for me, like obviously when I went to Philly and I got introduced to cocaine, I just remember I had a party at my place, and Bobby Clark told me, he said, listen, if I catch you drinking again, you're done. I said, yeah, whatever, Bob. You know, like I'm good here. This is before any rehabs. And these two girls come over to my place, and they got some cocaine. And I knew we had to be on the ice the next day at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you know what? I'll just try a little bit here. And as I was driving to the rink at 8 o'clock in their car, broken down piece of shit car, as I'm driving there and I'm sweating and I haven't slept, I go, okay, I've turned the corner. Like I knew at that point that I've turned the corner. I get there, Paul Coffey's sitting there, and I sit down next to him, and he's like, holy shit, Knuckles. He's like, you look like death. And I said, I know, I feel like it. And obviously it wasn't that much longer where, you know, Clarkey held true to what he said. He released me. He goes, you're done. And so my point was driving to the rink, going, oh my God, I haven't slept tonight.
Yeah.
You know, and I've got to skate now.
Yeah.
And I think with yourself, maybe you come, and I don't know what it's like to go that far in the playoffs, but losing out in the finals was, I mean, obviously that's devastating.
Yeah,
right?
It's
like,
pretty
it really is.
It's pretty heartbreaking, you know, like you spend like your whole life, you know, you look up there, like I got all those shiny things, and like there's the one that's missing up there, you know, like you've been working your whole life to achieve a goal, you know, and you come so close. And it's just like, I think that like part of that kind of helped push me over the edge, I think. And
so did you find that the drinking was after games too, to try and calm the nerves down. And
Yeah.
then, you know,
Yeah, I feel like that was always part of it, you know, like you'd have like a few beers like on the bus on the way to the airport, you know, or on the plane. And it's just kind of like a way to relax, I think, too, a little bit, you know?
Yeah, that's pretty much the same. Yeah, man, I don't know, bro. Like we talk about mental health, you know, I've struggled with, sometimes my head doesn't feel right. And I don't know if it's from you know, I was in 230 fights, you know, and I didn't know if it was the drug abuse. I didn't know what it was. But you know, I don't know if you heard that story about, I believe his name's Grayson Murray.
Yeah.
You know, for me, when I saw that, like that hit home.
Yeah.
You know, he said he battled with, I think it was anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
You know, did that strike a chord with you at all when you seen that?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is like just dealing with stress, you know?
Yeah.
Like I know you for sure, like you getting ready for, you know, to throw hands with somebody, you're thinking about it all day long. It's stressful.
The day before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
and you can't
like,
stop thinking about it.
You know, and it's like hockey in general is high performance. You know, we need results. You know, you think about it, like you're in a very like stressful situation. So I think like a part of it too is just being able to handle and deal with like the stresses of being a high performance athlete.
Yeah, I mean it was shocking when I chatted about it. Did you know Cy? You know Chris Simon?
A little bit.
Did you?
Yeah, I met him. I met him a long time ago.
Yeah, real good guy.
Yeah.
I trained with him in LA.
Yeah.
And you know, it was devastating. To see what happened, but you know, I think now for me, Pricer, like we can chat about you know, in sobriety, like, you know, when I got out of the game, it was $250 left, and I just didn't have a lot of hope. And the only thing I knew back then is that, and I was in a different position, but I just knew that if I stayed sober, that my life was going to get better.
Yeah.
Right. And gradually it did. And it was just one step in front of the other. And I eventually, you know, my first thought was, okay, well, I can't hunt, which I don't do a lot of anyways. But if I was going to be drinking, right?
Yeah.
Golfing. The big one for me was camping. Love drinking and camping.
Yeah.
So all these activities, I just thought at the time that I wasn't going to be able to do anymore. And then into my sobriety, I said, okay, go book a tea time, right? Get a buddy and just go get your Diet Coke and go play some golf. And I just found that like the more that I did those things sober, that it was when I got back at the end of the day, I looked back and said, man, I actually had a pretty good time, you know? So have you found, because now you're over 2 years sober, right? Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations. Have you found that it's been like it's sort of a night and day
Yeah,
situation?
100%. Like, you know, like it's not going to lie. Like you go through like kind of your stages, you know, like the first part is like, this is new. This is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it's exciting.
Yeah.
And then like after a little while, you're like, oh man, like everybody around me is like, you know, they're drinking, having a good time. And like, you're forming new habits, right?
Yeah.
So
100%.
like, you know, like you're fishing, you're having a beer, you're camping, you got a cooler, you know, you're golfing, there's a cart girl there, you know? So like all these like little habitual things that you've been doing all your whole life, you're creating a kind of a new way of doing it.
Yeah.
And then I think like, you know, for me too, like I always found it like you drinking, you're more social, you know, maybe you're not like totally comfortable sitting down and having conversations with people, you know, without feeling loose. And like the further along I went along with this, it just like you just feel more comfortable just being yourself. And you feel, I think a lot of it too is like you feel like you're like excluded from things, like you're missing out on something, or you're not being like a part of a group.
Yeah.
You know, like you're somehow in your own head thinking you're outside of the tribe.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Well, you were in a tribe for so long, right?
Yeah.
You had a group of 23 guys around you.
Yeah.
And now, you know, you said you were out hunting. I don't know if it was a couple of weeks ago, but you know, you're out there and you're doing it sober, right? And you're by yourself, and you know, you're probably actually really soaking up every moment that you're out there.
Yeah, you're being present, you know, like you're being more aware of your surroundings, like you're actually soaking in the moment as opposed to just you know, when you start drinking, you're just kind of fixated on your next one. You know?
Yeah, it was good for me to see that. I mean, now, you know, like I have a little 3-year-old boy, and little Kaner, he's awesome, and Peanut, she's 16, and your kids are 8, 5, and 3. You got a 3-year-old boy too.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I remember I read something that you said, and it had to do with that you wanted to be present for your children and making them pancakes on a Sunday morning, and not feeling like shit.
Yeah,
right.
No, there's you know, like that was a big part of it too. It's like how many days you wasted in your life feeling like that. You know, you don't get up off the couch for maybe a whole day, you know,
and you got them tugging at you.
Yeah,
right?
You know, so it's like now, like I wake up on Sunday morning and I'm making breakfast for the kids and being a present dad. So I'm really thankful for that time.
Yeah. It's, you know, if somebody said to me, "What are you most proud of?" I'd have to say that both my children, whenever I said I was going to do something, I did it. You know, and when I was drinking and using, my life was just a big facade, you know, and a lie. And when I got sober, or in sobriety, I've made sure that my kids have a present father. You know, so I think that's awesome what you're doing. And as far as like physical activity now, how are you doing with the machine? Like, is it holding up?
I'm doing pretty good actually. You know, like I've always kind of gone in spurts. You know, like I'll work like a dog for 3 months, and then I'll take a month off. You know, it's different now. Like when you're playing, you know, you have that accountability of that wind gain, that VO2's coming. You know?
Yeah.
So now like I can actually like enjoy like working out and like taking care of my body in a way that is going to suit like everyday life. Like I'm not training to be like Superman anymore. You know, I don't need to be deadlifting 600 pounds anymore. You know, like it's.
Were you doing 600?
I don't know what it was. Yeah, I was doing 600 pounds.
Oh man!
But I was like, you know, your training changes. You know, as you get older too, you need to do different things for your body. And you know, I've been fortunate enough in a long career, and I've had some great strength coaches throughout the years. Like I know kind of how to take care of myself in a way that's gonna suit my lifestyle.
You know, playing in we haven't really chatted about hockey, but playing there, you know, I just remember somebody said, when was the first time you felt like you're playing in the NHL? And I got drafted by Tampa. It was an expansion team in '92. But I'll never forget when we flew into Montreal for a pregame skate. And I went in, and these kids from school came in for the pregame skate, and they filled like the lower level. Yeah. And you're looking around, and this was in the old Forum, okay?
Yeah.
And you see all the history. Was it? I mean, I know that you had some probably great role models and guys but what was the pressure for you and the status of you on the, you know, not only on the team but in the country? What was that like?
It was fun. Like I got like some experience of I played in Tri-Cities. It's not a huge hockey market.
Yeah.
But we had like good crowds. So
7,000-8,000, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so like I had some experience. Then going to the World Juniors, you know, I was 19. Like that was a big kind of like high pressure exposure, playing for your country on a pretty high level. And then I'm kind of going through my whole hockey story, but
No, that's all right.
But then I finished my junior career. We lost to Seattle in the playoffs when I was 19, and then I went to Hamilton.
Yeah. Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs, yeah. So we wound up winning the Calder Cup. So that was
nice.
As a 20-year-old going in there and winning. And then the following season, I was pretty well slated to make the team at that point, basically, you know. So then I remember just like going into training camp and like thinking I got a real shot at making the team this year.
At 20.
At 20 years old, you know, and then
Because who was the starter when you got there?
Cristobal Huet was there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
he was just awesome. Like
Great guy.
He's an awesome guy. Yeah. And then I think my kind of coming to the NHL moment was like my first NHL game. I'm going into Pittsburgh to play against Sidney Crosby
That was your first one.
and the Penguins, you know. I just remember it's just like
it happens fast.
It happens,
but it's like because you're in the pocket, you're in the moment.
Yeah.
But you're right. As you're standing there for the anthem, and you're like, "What the fuck? Oh my god, where am I?" Right now?
Yeah. It was just like a kind of a surreal moment, you know. Like I'm playing against Mark Recchi.
Yeah, all those guys.
Evgeny Malkin, you know, like it's just like kind of like a star-studded lineup. Kind of like you're excited, scared to death, and pumped to go all at the same time, you know. Yeah, but you know, it went well. We wound up winning that game, and it was just like, wow. I made the NHL. I played in an NHL game, and I remember I had a coach from when I played midget hockey, Jason Smart, and he texted me. He's like, you know, as silly as it sounds, you played in an NHL game, and nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah, it's true though. I mean, my goal was to play one shift. Right. It really was. Like I had these hockey cards of Rick Tocchet, Shel Samuelson, Ron Hextall, you know, and my second game, I end up scoring a goal against Hextall. Fluky backhand, but it went in.
Doesn't matter how.
It counted. Yeah. But to your point, then I found myself playing on 6 different teams. And when you look back at it now, for me personally, and I'm sure for yourself, like, man, was I blessed, you know, to get that opportunity, you know, and I just think it was, whether it was angels looking down or whatever, but it was a wild experience. You played with a guy that ended my career, Big George.
Yeah.
How long did you play with Georgie for?
I'm trying to remember. It's like I look back and like how many guys I've played with and like, you know, like the timelines. I think I played with George for, it was 1 or 2 years.
So it was a full year?
Yeah.
How'd you like him?
He's an interesting cat.
He's an interesting bird, right?
Yeah. He's always treated me really nice. Like he was really like friendly.
He never treated me that nice.
Well, I didn't have to fight him, you know. I'm thankful for that. He was on my side, but he's very jovial, you know.
Yeah, like, he's a good guy. Yeah. He's a good guy. It's just, I just remember when I was with Calgary, and I was waiting to get reinstated by the league, and I'm thinking to myself, 4 exhibition games went by, and then we were playing Edmonton. I'm like, don't reinstate me today. Don't reinstate me. Daryl Sutter walks in. Congrats, Myhres, you got reinstated. You're playing tonight. And I'm like, oh my God. So anyways, I go back to the hotel, and I knew it was coming to the end because I started like literally shaking in bed because I knew I had to fight him. Yeah. And didn't eat pregame. I'm going, I see a Wendy's, so I pull over to get a burger before the game, and I can't get it down. So I go, fuck it, I'm just going to the game. And everything was slow-mo. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, Daryl goes, you're up. And I jump out, and then I hear this, hey. I look back, and you ready? Yeah. I guess so. And but I'll tell you what about George. So they had to do reconstructive surgery under my eye the next day. Yeah. And my phone rings, and it says, it's him. And he was the first guy to call me after the hospital.
Yeah.
Really, really, in my opinion, a pretty stand-up guy.
Yeah, he is.
And I'm trying to think he played with another good friend of mine, Brantt and Prust.
Yeah.
We had Prusty for a couple of years, hey?
Yeah, we had a lot of fun together, me and Prusty. Like, he's just like another one of those guys that, he's just like would do anything for a teammate,
Yeah, he would. He would.
Like, he's just like, he really like kind of brought our team together, like got the boys involved and kind of drug everybody into the fight type of guy,
He was and you know what, looking back at it, like when I played with him, wasn't the biggest guy, right?
No.
But he had arms down to his feet, and he just had a heart of a lion.
He did, and he's like technically very good.
Technically, he was a good fighter.
He hardly ever saw Prusty get
smoked.
Yeah.
Except one night when I sold him. So we were playing in the minors. Remember Rocky Thompson?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't want to fight anymore. I'm playing for Calgary's farm team, and Prusty's a rookie. He's 20, and he's got 300 minutes already, right?
Yeah.
And anyway, so we go off the face-off, and Rocky Thompson skates up to me, and Prusty's on the other side. And he goes, "Hey, Myhres, what's up?" And I said, "Oh, not much, Rock. How you doing?" He goes, "Oh, not too bad." He goes, "You ready?" And I go, "No, man, not tonight." I go, I just had the fight with George and all this. And I said, "But you see that 20-year-old?" I said, I go, "He'll fight you." He goes, "Yeah, you think so?" I said, "Yeah, go ask him." So anyways, Rocky switches with the other guy, and him and Prusty go at it. And as they're going, I mean, I felt so bad that I shuffled that one off on Brandon. But he forgave me.
Yeah, he's a lion, man.
Yeah, he's a lion.
There's no doubt about it. Like he fought some pretty big characters, and he always held his own.
Yeah, he did well. So on your end, then the last 2.5 years that you've been sober, have you like noticed a difference in, I guess, your surroundings as far as how you're viewing things now? Or is it just more like, when I talk about that, I just mean support, like if I lived here, I'd be calling you and saying, "Hey buddy, let's go golfing," or whatever. Cause I knew early on for me, I needed to have a sober friend to hang out with. Mm-hmm. For instance, Sheldon Surrey, right? Yeah. Where you went down to Gosser Ranch.
Yeah.
And I go down every year for his birthday, and he's like a little brother to me, but he's a little sober brother that I like to hang out with. Do you feel like you have a decent support system in place?
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I'm going camping with Toots here.
Oh, Jordan Tutu. That's right. You're going camping.
Yeah. And then,
great guy.
My wife's obviously been very supportive.
Yeah.
And, like a lot of my friends too here, like, they're like, "You okay with this?" But like, I'm at a point now where it's like, you be you. Like, don't worry about me.
I say the same thing. They're like, "Is it okay if we have a drink?" I go, "Listen, if you don't, I'd feel worse.
Yeah.
Like more offended almost.
Yeah.
You do you. I'll grab the Diet Coke or the Gatorade, and I'll do me." But I get what you're saying.
So like, I feel like kind of like now I'm at a point where like, like all my friends that are just like, they just want to hang. They just want to hang out. They just want to hang out.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And you and your wife have a foundation, right?
Yeah.
And what's that called?
It's the Angela and Carey Price Foundation. So
okay, and then what is that geared towards?
So we just started it, so it's kind of in its early years. So
yeah,
we're gonna start, like, we started doing stuff with Elevate Outdoors. Like, we're doing some work with the Special Olympics.
Oh, are you really? Nice.
Yeah. So
nice.
actually, we just did a little event with the Special Olympics here in Kelowna last week. They're doing like a track day, and our kids just enjoy it. Like,
That's so cool.
They're out there having fun, and the athletes really enjoy it, and it's fun to be able to go out there and help out.
Yeah.
They're just happy to see it.
Happy to see it. Yeah. That's awesome.
So it's been good. We've done a few events with them now. I think 3 so far. Mm-hmm. And we're going to continue doing that. It's been a lot of fun.
That's
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing.
But we work. We're going to be continuing more work with other charities. So
that's good.
It's
How can I help? How can I get involved? How can I help you? You know, is there anything that I can do?
Oh yeah, 100%. We can talk more about it, but we do most of the stuff that we do is here in Kelowna. So if you're ever around, like we can. You can just look up, or we had a website going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so people can go to the website.
Yeah.
And then, is it donations?
Yeah,
Is it,
donations. Like we, like I said, we're still kind of early in the creation of this.
Okay.
So like once we got things kind of up and mobile.
Yeah. Well, anything that, I mean, I really appreciate you taking time, Carey.
Yeah,
you know,
it's no problem.
And it's wild that, like, you know, never met you until today, but with hockey players, when you just start chatting, it's just like almost like a training camp when you meet somebody new, right?
Yeah.
You get along pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we just, you know, typically, like with most hockey players I've ever chatted with, you always have something in common.
Something in common.
Yeah. So it's easy you usually know at least one person in common, you know, it seems.
Yeah. Yeah. And because your first year was 2005. So there was still, and then Jerry Johansson with the Sports Corporation, Rich Winter at the time was my agent, dating back to 1997.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a couple things in common, but I'll definitely talk to you about the foundation. I want to help out.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else that wants to help out, they just go to the website.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm proud of you, and you know what? Hopefully, we can just keep ourselves going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been great. Like
awesome.
we were just like enjoying life.
Yeah.
Like, you know, post hockey is a different pace. You know, you don't really realize what kind of pace you're running until you take a step away from it. But being able to be at home with my kids and watch them grow up, because you know, as hockey players know, like you're gone so much throughout a season, and you know, since my son was born, I've been here, been available, and to not only him but my daughters, and being a good husband, it's been a real blessing.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, right on, buddy. Thanks, bud. I appreciate it. Awesome.
Appreciate it.
When it all goes slipping away, when it all